The year just started and we immediately get a new black market. And some of you might know I do enjoy the black market a little bit because it's a little bit of fun role-playing sometimes when I have time, which I don't have right now. But the main thing is it is a way for wargaming to sell and showcase new vehicles. However, I also want to point out that these tend to be a lot FOMO based. But in today's video, I won't be chasing Statham because I still have my hair, but we're going to talk about certain leaks which came out, which could showcase what is coming up in these 5 days. However, and that's also important, I'm also going to talk about some Battle Pass tanks which should be coming for 2025 and some the assembly shop tank for 2025 January. So this is a little bit of a disclaimer for the people which do not want to get spoiled, because there are some out there, and I know they might have clicked the leak video which are like, oh, this is your disclaimer, because we're going to start basically instantaneously with not the can opener, but some looks right in here, because already back on the 12th of January, so 8 days ago, somebody already teased about this. And apparently, they're saying there will be 6 offers in total. Although they're only 5 days, so keep that in mind. Maybe it's a little bit fake information, take it with a grain of salt. A very good point by Lucas here. However, most likely there will be different types of auctions. We will have free XP, gold, credit, and bonds. Regardless, chances are we are going to get 3 new vehicles which are coming up to us. So, there is a very easy way to find out what exactly is ready for release. And we can have a look at the vehicles which are getting changed from the tag tested and secret to ready for release. Ha, who would have guessed? And let's start with the BABYYYY. The BABYYYY is most likely not going to be part of the black market, because this, in quotation mark, Gorilla 15 but Czech type of Persian tank is most likely going to be the assembly shop tank for this year. And this is why I won't go too deep into it. But again, it's basically a Gorilla 15 but Czech, so it is a little bit better in some situations, but it has a worse DPM, something like that. However, first vehicle we're going to have a look at is the SFAC 105. The SFAC 105 is a very odd looking tank. It is a little bit reminiscent of Leicester's Gendarmerie, or Gendarme, and it's not that. It's definitely not that. It's a tier 8 tank with double barrels, and it has a, in quotation mark, unique mechanic, where if you use the 3-second charging of the gun, which is, this one is like the 703, the STA2 line. So if you keep your this mouse button pressed, or in my case, the middle mouse button, you charge up the shots and then you do a double shot. If you do that, you suddenly get really good dispersion and moving values. But you get a little bit slower. Almost like it might actually be like the British heavy tanks, just not with a button that you can switch between, but you actually have to press a button. But yeah, it has 390 alpha. It has pretty decent DPM if you would use it as a single shot, but I doubt that this is very, how should we say, advisable with these type of gun stats. So we're most likely going to use it as a 780 damage shotgun, which then most likely takes around 22 seconds-ish, 23, 24 seconds to reload thanks to the lock of both guns. That's about it. And about the SFAC, indeed, this tank has already more or less been confirmed. If we go back into Discord, right here, at least this is what WhatExpress is saying. And let's be honest, WhatExpress tends to be a pretty darn good source when it comes to these types of information. Now, when we go back to the vehicles, we have some other interesting ones. The next one could be the Erich Konzept, or Erich Konzept. Now, this tank already exists, I think, on Leicester or in World of Tanks Blitz, and there it is a heavy tank with, I think, 650 or more alpha. In our game, in World of Tanks, this tank is going to have a 12cm gun, the Panzerkanone RH2B, which has 400 alpha, pretty good pen, and it's going to be a sniper medium. And this is why we compare it to the Leopard PTA. Let's be honest, the Leopard PTA is one of the fan favorites out there. Yes, I know some people do not like the gun handling because it tends to be a little bit iffy. But I personally like the Leopard PTA. And I like the Leopard 1. Like, since the buff, I was wrong. I wanted to have it less alpha. The better alpha was peak. It's absolute cinema. The Erich Konzept I basically trades the higher alpha of the Leopard PTA for better gun handling. And a little bit better pen, or worse pen actually. But it's 8mm, that's not that much. But the good thing is it has heat as premium. It doesn't have HESH, sadly though. But regardless, it looks like a very interesting balance because the gun handling is, quite frankly, much better than what the Leopard PTA has to offer. Mobility is the same. The main issue which the Erich Konzept will have is the fact that basically everything can pen its upper front plate because it is 30 to 35mm thick. So 35mm means that yes, one of 5mm guns will not be able to overmatch it, thank God, but 120 plus one hit, it goes through. It just goes through. It's just that simple. Chances are this thing may or may not be part of the bundle because when we go down the Rambo, we already know where this is going from. We have two more vehicles, the ST66 and the KV4 Turchaninov. Sorry if I butchered that name. These two tanks could also be part of this new lot. But then again, I have a little bit of a feeling that these may or may not be part of the, how should we say, what is it called? The Lunar New Year boxes, because apparently we are also going to get these. The ST66 is basically an Object 274A, at least on paper, which doesn't suck. For the people which sometimes come into my streams and saw me free mark the 274A, know that, my goodness, this tank gave me an aneurysm. Poor gun handling, it has armor which you cannot rely on, it has really good DPM though, and it has a gun which is like, again, completely garbage, and it has super low hit points. It was a chore to free mark. The ST66 has actually better DPM, quite a chunk better aim time, while the gun handling is a tiny bit worse when it comes to moving, but a lot better during turret traverse, and it's a tad slower. But I take that. I 100% take that. And the bonus point is it actually has really good armor. Like we're talking about like 230mm of effective frontal armor on the upper plate. And you can see you can angle that thing, and even in the lower plate it becomes hard thanks to the auto bounce angles. And with gold ammunition, yes, obviously it gets a little bit easier to penetrate, but even the turret is still very thick. We get up to like 300mm effective armor on the sloped surfaces, or even here 300mm of thickness, and we got two cupolas. So on paper the ST66 looks pretty decent. The KV4 Turchaninov, I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's literally a KV4 with a different turret, but a worse gun. I get it's 300 alpha, not 320 alpha. Its pen is kind of, it's okay, I guess, 225, 255, but you can't compare it to the KV4, which has up to 290mm of APCR pen. The gun handling is, or the accuracy is piss poor. The gun handling is debatable if it's actually that much better when it has such piss poor version. Mobility is the same, and the armor is apparently a little bit better. I can't really see, because if you go to standard rounds, you can see green. So you have to angle it insanely hard, and then it looks actually a little bit better. But then again, as soon as somebody starts to shoot gold ammunition, they can shoot through the gun mantlet, which is 200 thick, and the KV4 is just going to rinse this thing apart. Now, what information do we have left? Yes, the upcoming Battle Pass tanks. Before you think that the Object 265T or the Iraq are coming, the prototype, no, they won't be coming. They will be reserved for the Battle Pass, apparently. This is what Expressed has published on the 15th of January. So what things are then left, you know? When we look at the older auctions which happened, one thing, a recurring theme which usually happen, were like the FE215B or something like the Foch 155. We also had the Object 268 version 5 or the 113BO. I doubt that we will get the 113BO. We might even get the Object 268 version 5 again, as it was sold now quite frequently. The T22 Medium may or may not also be part of that because it was only sold last year, but then it wouldn't really count as a new vehicle. So yeah, it is a little bit rough. It is kind of hard to say. We also know that there is a new Czech premium tank, in quotation mark, called the Sotek, and the Sotek is just a reskinned shitpack. But I think this would make much more sense for loot boxes than for this event. Although we did got the Mars in winter 2023, which is now 2 years ago. And we also have the Divine Valor, which is a simply reskinned BZ75. And I guess that thing is good for Onslaught and for the Clan Wars campaign. But I wouldn't really like to play this tank in normal games. I absolutely despise the BZ75. So that really only leaves not that many tanks left, you know? Like the SFAC, again, this thing basically was announced by What Express to be the first tank which is coming, which would be interesting. Apparently, they also leaked this, the Waffenträger auf E100. But again, take this with a big grain of salt because What Express does this as a reoccurring joke. And let's be honest, Wargaming has this as a rental, which is kind of a big cash cow for them, I assume, as well. So this one shouldn't be part of it. So that only leaves us for some more tanks which may or may not be happening. The U-15B and the Foch 155 could come again. The important point is, I also have this tank up here, the Chieftain Mark 6. The main problem with the Chieftain Mark 6 is it is not ready for release yet. It's still 100 gold. The same number which we've seen before in vehicle news, which things have been tested, go to the real gold value from, and they got their tags removed, tested, and secret. So I doubt that it's going to be the Chieftain Mark 6. It would be hella funny if they would use the Chieftain Mark 6 and sell it, because, you know, British actor, British tank, very known British tank. It was tested. Some people might remember my video, but I don't know. In the end, it is kind of rough to say, other than the SFAC and potentially the Erich Konzept, which are coming to come. Again, 3 new vehicles. It might also mean that we get the Divine Valor. Heck, let's be honest, we already had this information or already saw this happening quite a bit with the other things, you know, with the Monkey King, with the Mars. So yeah. And I don't really remember any other vehicles which may or may not be able or ready to be released for this. So yeah, that's everything I'm having for you today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is RagingRaptor and I hope to see you on another video. Cheers!